Well, it's been a turbulent period in the relationship because for the first time since the Second World War, we've had a president of the United States who hasn't been willing to be the leader, if you like, of a multilateralist Western community. It's not what he's wanted to do. He made that clear. He's for a long time been what he calls in the camp of the America First persuasion. And needless to say, that's been a surprise. It was a surprise, not just to the UK, but to America's other Western partners. So it's been a very different 4 years. American leadership of the traditional kind has been missing.
Let's talk about the new president. Brits often like to flatter ourselves with what we think of, what we call the special relationship, whatever that means. But Joe Biden's in-tray is rather full of other preoccupations, isn't it?
It certainly is. He's got an enormous in-tray. And he'll have to be, initially, I think, focused on domestic issues. There's an enormous amount to do at home. But I think he's also very clear that he wants to be a multilateralist president. And I was just saying that is going to be a departure after what we had in the last 4 years with President Trump. And I think he will find that when it comes to the multilateral agenda, there are a great many things that are in common, that we have in common between London and Washington.
How will this new US administration deal with Brexit Britain? It's not what many people in this party wanted.
No, and Joe Biden's always been very clear that he thinks that Brexit was a mistake for Britain. He would much rather Britain had remained inside the European Union. But we are where we are, and my limited knowledge of him, I knew him slightly when I was ambassador in Washington, is that he's somebody who looks forward, not back. He's not going to recriminate about this. And I think it brings us back to this question of what is the agenda. And if there are areas where he thinks that we, and indeed the European Union and other partners, can work together, that's what he will want. And there certainly are, whether it's on climate change, whether it's on managing global pandemics, a whole host of issues where we are going to be naturally useful partners and allies with the Biden administration. And I think he'll be looking for those positives rather than trying to look back and say, well, we regret that you did this or that.
Well, you worked with him, you know him. What do you make of him? What should we make of him?
Well, the first thing I'd say about him on a personal level, he's a very nice guy. He's a delightful interlocutor. He's somebody who naturally reaches out, has great warmth personally. But beyond my own impressions, he's immensely experienced. He's been in American public life for something like 50 years. And he's a huge expert on international issues, having been on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And he knows all the players. You know, he was Obama's vice president, so he comes to this job, admittedly after a 4-year gap, but he knows the issues, he knows the people. And I think what's very impressive about him is his clear determination to start fast, and that's both on domestic and international relations, and to put a really impressive team of people into the top jobs.
And what of a US UK trade deal?
Well, I don't think we can assume that it's at the top of his list to do. I don't think there will be, if you like, a huge priority put on trade deals at all at the moment. I think there are so many other things that the Biden administration has to do. But I think he will be perfectly open to working his way through this. If I could just say personally, I don't think that the free trade agreement is actually tremendously important. It's acquired a great symbolism, but I don't think it matters hugely whether it's done or not. This may be a minority view, but I wouldn't be judging the UK-US relationship by how quickly we get an FTA.
And will Joe Biden go to Brussels or the United Kingdom when the US wants to talk to European leaders?
I think he'll go to both. And that's not new. You know, even when we were part of the European Union, the American administration has always wanted to talk to the European Union as the European Union and to the individual countries that make it up. And I'm sure that when it comes to issues like climate change or pandemics or whatever it may be that has global resonance and importance, he will certainly want to talk to the European Union, but he'll also want to talk to us. And in this first year, it's worth remembering that Britain has the chairmanship of the G7 countries, and it's also going to host the COP26 meeting about climate change later in the year. And I'm quite sure that, President Biden will want to talk to the Prime Minister about the agendas for both those meetings, and that there's going to be great scope, actually, for us to work bilaterally with them.